Hello, what is up, folks? How's it going? This is officially, if you're here live, I see you coming in the chat, our closed collaborators group. If you're in the course, hello, how are you? We are in module number 7, Build It and They Will Come. My voice is already raw and we're only in module number 7. The first five modules, because module number 1, I must remind you, and I will do this very, very briefly. I will briefly welcome you guys. How's it going, my live people? Just a little reminder. If you haven't seen module number 1, if you're skipping to modules and you're within the course, please watch original brand resume presentation. It's kind of like a prerequisite, okay? So, my live people, this is day number 2, even though it's module number 7. How are you guys? Can you hear me? And can you see me, please? I'm not going to continue to say what's going on about how I'm recording this live, but it's a course, so you may see me in the course, or you may see me live. I did sleep. I do have a blemish today, as I noticed just now. You know what that's from? I'm about to get vulnerable today. We are building your brand resume today, and a couple of weird things happened this morning. I was thinking. I'm going to spend just a few seconds of I don't know. Every time I do a live thing, I tend to just ramble on for a little bit to get my video legs, I guess, my live legs, to get kind of like in the zone a little bit. Because it's always a little weird to start recording. Not recording, push live. It's different than recording. So I'm going to keep it to a real minimum. But some really... you know, everything happens for a reason, and sometimes you get little signs here, little signs there. You notice all kinds of little coincidences. Well, there's one that happened this morning, and it was just, it's blowing my mind. Do you mind if I share it with you, the people that are on live? It'll only take 2 minutes. It's one of these things. It's like, no, that can't be a coincidence. That's just too weird. And it has to do with not only what we're teaching here. So you hear me, guys, right? Please? Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to explain my blemish, because this tends to happen when I'm about to get vulnerable. I'll get into the coincidence in a second when I share my screen and we start actually building. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll kick it off with that, because I'm always... self-developing myself, personal development. And today, as I was going to go into my current brand resume, mine, thewealthytrainer.com, and I was going to work from there. And then there was a point where I was juggling the concept of, do I create a brand new one? What would you guys prefer? You can put it in the chat, please, my live people. But I've made a decision. I was juggling the options of just going into the Wealthy Trainer blog. It's perfect, yo. And using that as an example and going and adding to that. But then I says to myself, let's do a brand new one from scratch. It's just more beneficial, correct? Wouldn't you agree, guys? Build out a whole new one from scratch, using the Wix platform. We'll get into that in a sec. That's part of the coincidence, by the way. And here's the deal. When I get uncomfortable, well, I don't know. Tell me if you guys can relate to this, because we are engaging. So if you're watching me in the module, there is a live audience here. So this is how we're recording this. For the 20th time throughout the course, probably I said that. Do you guys ever have a nervous hives, I think you would call them? Or when you get uncomfortable, some people get beet red. Some people get red ears. Some people get short of breath if they're doing something uncomfortable, such as public speaking, for example. Does anyone get nervous hives like this? I get them on my neck. I get them in certain spots. Sometimes get one here. I get them here. They tend to pop up in the same places. And it's not skin cancer, yo. It's just I get these nervous hives, and they've been popping up in the same places since I was a youth. Do you guys get that? Some of you? Well, what are your nervous symptoms? So the reason I'm saying that is because when I started doing videos, I always had them. They're in my older videos. When I started going live, they went away in the videos because I got comfortable with the concept. Is there a point to this? Yeah, kind of. We're going somewhere with this, and I'll get there quick. Let me take a sip of my drink. It's a Rockstar. I won't show the can. There's no need. Sponsored by. Okay. I get, things are usually uncomfortable at first. The more you do them, the more you get comfortable with them. The less the hives pop out. When I started doing lives, when Facebook Live came out and Periscope, even though I had conquered the hives coming out on video, whenever I would do live videos, it's a whole different animal. Would you agree that doing a live video is more nerve-wracking when there's people watching than doing a recorded video? It's more difficult for me to do a recorded video because it's more scripted and stuff. It's easier for me to do live, but it's more nerve-wracking. Okay? I get more anxiety and stuff. Now that I've been doing this for 5 years, doing a live presentation, I guess you can say, is not hive-provoking. But when I get vulnerable, now that it used to be hive-provoking doing live videos. Now it's not. But when I get vulnerable, that's hive-provoking. And here's my point. I've decided to do a new blog. We're going to do a brand new brand resume from scratch tonight. The topic is called Build It and They Will Come. We're going to need the whole evening, guys, to do this. For those of you that are live, we'll be less than 2 hours tonight, I would say. For those of you in the module, just fast forward, rewind, do whatever you need to do. But it's one module and it's also one evening, okay? Now, the blog I'm going to do is going to be, I had to choose a topic. I had to choose a brand. We're going to attack this immediately. Your brand resume, I strongly believe it needs a brand opposed to just your name. Now, there will be room for you to decide, because the way we build this, I will recommend, I'll recommend what you stand for and what you talk about is so reflective of you. And this is where the weird coincidence will come in, that I can't tell you what to call your brand, but I truly believe, and I stand by this, that a brand is more important. It's important to create a brand around your name. What do I mean by that? For example, me, it's The Wealthy Trainer, changing lives by creating wealth and improving health. That would be my slogan. That would be my WIFM. What's in it for me? We'll talk about that. So The Wealthy Trainer is my brand. Mark Lalonde is my name. And then my slogan, or my WIFM. When I say WIFM, I'll explain that really quickly. WIIFM. What's in it for me? Your slogan should speak to the person who lands on your blog. Why do I believe it's more important to create a brand than just your name being the brand? Because you can have multiple brands. You can have multiple brand resumes, if you will. You can have multiple companies. That's up to you. My main brand is The Wealthy Trainer. My name is Mark Lalonde. If you want your brand to be your name, that's cool, but I want people to see my brand and have an idea what I do. Have an idea what it will do for them. My name doesn't say that. Nobody will know you at first. If all they see is your name and it's not established, it doesn't say anything. So The Wealthy Trainer triggers things off. A wealthy, money trainer could either be personal trainer, health, or it could be teaching. Well, for me, it's health and wealth. So The Wealthy Trainer was a very intentional. So when people see The Wealthy Trainer with my cartoon logo, which is and I also have a logo for it, it's a $ with weights. So it's like a barbell with an S through it. So it's The Wealthy Trainer. The brand speaks more to people about what it is I stand for. Does that make sense in the live? Please let me know. And a lot of people can't even say my name. And once I've established myself, they're going to know. They'll be like, "You're Mark Lalonde? Aren't you that wealthy trainer guy?" They already say that. They go, "Yeah, there's this wealthy trainer guy." I'm like, yeah, that's me. "You're the wealthy trainer?" "Yeah, that's me." "Oh my God, you look like that cartoon guy. What's your name again? Lalonde? Malone? Mark with a K, Malone?" My name is Mark with a C, Lalonde, Lalonde. So at first there was I had mixed feelings on creating a brand opposed to my name, but as it turns out, it was a great decision. So today, I want you to start thinking about a brand for you. We're going to include your name, but until you're established, nobody knows your name. You're not Tony Robbins, yo. You know what I mean? Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins, but even at that, personal power is more powerful than Tony Robbins because, well, I think everyone knows who Tony Robbins is, but if they don't, a blog that would say personal power, that's one of his brands. He has many brands. Here's where I'm going with this. Personal power, it's obvious. This is about personal power. I want personal power. Anthony Robbins? Okay, I never heard of him. We all have, but in the beginning, personal power was more effective than Tony Robbins, I would imagine. Does that make sense? I hope I kind of framed this properly. Now, with that being said, it gives Tony Robbins the freedom to create other brands because he's got many other brands. Now, with myself, I will create a second brand for the purpose of this training, brand resume. I'll create one from scratch. It's a brand that I'm very passionate about. The Wealthy Trainer is my ultimate, it's what I stand for. Money and health. That's about it. I don't talk about love. I don't talk about relationships. I talk about money and I talk about health. That's my brand. I'm going to create a new one today. And here's where the hive comes in. As I was deciding, what can I do? What can I create? What am I passionate about that can be a standalone brand? I'll do it as an example. It's for the course. However, I'd like to do something that I know a lot about. I know how to make money. I know how to get healthy. I have the life that can prove that. I was a personal trainer and I've done very well financially. Those are covered in that brand. But what can I do in my second brand? So I thought, let's get vulnerable here. What am I better at? What am I as good at? What am I as good at as making money and getting healthy? I won't talk about my credibility about money and health. You can go to thewealthytrainer.com and it'll be obvious how I was able to lose weight. It'll be obvious that I'm credible for those two topics. But when it comes to my new topic that we will create today, you know what else I'm really good at? Fixing myself. I'm very good at fixing myself. Here we go. You ready to see another hive pop out? It probably will. Some of you may or may not know I've had I was broken. I was a broken person. in so many facets that it's very embarrassing, for a lack of better terms. It's extremely embarrassing for me to open up about some of the stuff that some of the breaks that I've had, how I've been broken. And the reason I'm okay with it now, I've come to terms with talking about them, is because I've been able to fix them. So if people ask me what's my greatest accomplishment, going from 275 pounds to 276 actually, to 222 in 2 months, huge accomplishment. Super proud of that. But it's not my biggest accomplishment. Would it be becoming a millionaire? Huge accomplishment. But that's still not my biggest accomplishment. My biggest accomplishment is not very spoken of too often, but it's the thing that I'm the most proud of. It's fixing my inner self. It is. Okay, we'll start here. I was an alcoholic. I no longer drink alcohol. And when I say alcoholic, when I say that, I mean, if you're asking how bad, the worst. The worst. I won't go into details. I'll save that for the blog, because I believe that the way I fixed myself, I did not go to AA. That did not work for me. I tried AA. It didn't work. I tried rehab. It didn't work. I found something that worked, and I kind of kept it to myself. Okay? So I fixed that. I never talked about how I fixed it. I think and I believe there are many people in the world that also suffer from that and have not been able to fix themselves from it. You see? It's starting to swell up even more. Now I'm getting, my heart rate's going up. I was a drug addict as well. I fixed that. I no longer take drugs. If you were to ask how bad, I was the worst. What kind of drugs? All of them. All of them. So, and if you say, what about this one, all of them. Do I take any drugs now? Zero. I don't even take aspirin or Tylenol. Like none. How did I do that? I fixed myself there too. And then, of course, financially, a lot of people don't know how bad it was for me. How did I fix that? Well, I once again, it would seem untraditional, but I did things that are not traditionally used, untraditional, to fix my financial status. So that's because I was homeless. I was starving. So all of these things, these are just 3 of the things where I was broken. And those are pretty big things. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you think that, well, wouldn't you? I know that I have stuff that could definitely stand up. The things I just told you required extreme persistence, discipline, tips and tricks that I use on myself to fix myself. So with that being said, is that enough? Are those enough legs to stand on their own as a blog, as a brand? Hell yeah. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm vulnerable today. That's why I've got hives, because I'm going to build out a brand that I had to think of a brand name. We're going to talk about this right now, okay? We're going to talk about what you need to start thinking about, because we're going to build it. We're going to go in Wix. We're technically going to build it now. But I want you to start thinking about what your brand will be. If you go to The Wealthy Trainer, I'm going to sketch it out, kind of like the blog, because I want to write them down on a paper, because right now it may not be popping in your head as I'm speaking to you, what your brand will be. You need to get the .com. It's important. Some people would argue that, well, that's okay. Isn't that interesting? I stand firmly by that. So your blog, like The Wealthy Trainer, I have the .com, thewealthytrainer.com, and it goes to my blog. It's important. So you want to go to GoDaddy.com. You want to check and just to check to see if it's available, whatever you're thinking as your brand. You want to check out the social media stuff too? Sure, but that's less relevant. You need the .com. So if you go to GoDaddy.com, you type it in, it'll tell you if it's available or not, or you can buy it. Like I have to buy Brand Resume off someone for a couple of $1,000. That's just because I got personal Brand Resume for this course, I mean. Not for my new, the blog we're building for me. Whoa, 20 minutes, really? Here we go. I'm going to build the blog on paper right now. Ready? We're not going to use the whiteboard because the whiteboard's busy today. I need it. I need it for some notes, for some work I'm doing. So I'm going to build it out like this, okay? We're going to build it out like this. If you look at the Wealthy Trainer blog, I'm going to build it out the same way. The first thing you need is the brand. What's the brand? The name of it, like thewealthytrainer.com. And whatever it stands for, whatever the slogan is, we'll say it should be enough. The brand name, if it's good, it should only be a couple of words. It should only be a couple of words, 2, 3, maybe 4. And it should say what it is you stand for. Just the name, the brand name. When you add the slogan to that, or the what's in it for me, with WIIFM, WIIFM, once you add that, it should be bloody obvious what it is you talk about on your blog, okay? So we'll start like this. I'm going to draw a big rectangle across the page like this. I hope you brought some notes. If you didn't, pause the video. If you're here with me live today, I keep asking you guys to have pen and paper. Let's start with this. Okay, let me see. There we go. Start with a box just like that and draw with me, will you? Box just like that, and this is where we will put, we're going to technically implement this tonight, but right now we need to write it on paper, put it on your corkboard at home, and start thinking about what your brand will be, okay? So I'm just going to put up here the brand because I'm going to fill these things out right now because I know my new brand. Number 1, the brand. Then on top of that, we want the slogan right on top, right on top. So I'm going to put another box up top. And these are not boxes. These are like placeholders we're using for this exercise. But I want you to just do this as well. Put a little box up on top like this, okay? And in that will be your slogan. 1 sentence. Now, a lot of people will have a format. A lot of people will have like fill in the blanks here and use this exact wording. Here's what I say about that. WIIFM. WIIFM. So I want you to write in that box. Not in the full box because you're going to fill this out with what you decide. But what goes in there is your slogan or your WIIFM. What's your WIIFM? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? For the person reading it. So here's how I do a slogan. Does it tell me what I'm going to get out of this? What do you do? What's in it for me? On the Wealthy Trainer, it's bloody obvious. Changing lives by creating wealth and improving health, correct? There it is, changing lives by creating wealth and improving health. Right at the top, The Wealthy Trainer. Wouldn't that say what I do? You need those 2 things. Those are arguably the most important things. And the .com for whatever this is, whatever you choose this to be, the .com. And then, of course, underneath that is your name, your real name. Again, I'm not going to defend the fact that I believe a brand, a catchy brand, a brand that could be sold, The Wealthy Trainer is me, it's my personal brand, but it's still a brand. It's one of my brands. Marco Lalonde is the ultimate brand, but Tesla is a brand. SpaceX is a brand. But who's the guy who owns both of those brands? Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is a brand on its own, but I'd like you to create a Tesla or a SpaceX today. I've created the Wealthy Trainer. Now I'm going to create a second one today, okay? Whether it catches or not, the purpose of it is for this course. Number one, it's very vulnerable, and I don't know if I'm very, if I'm comfortable with sharing some of this stuff that I'll talk about in the world, on the interwebs quite yet. But if I do, there's a possibility it builds its own audience. I may, we'll see. Well, it'll be out there. I got the .com. Then after that, we need to start thinking about your passions. Let's build out the menu on paper, because you're going to have a structure for your menu. However, we don't actually build the menu itself until, in two more modules. Next module, we create content, We start creating content to populate the blog that we're building today. So let's do out the menu. I want you to go like this. Put a box below. Like this. Like it's your sub-menu or your sections of your blog. Okay, you with me, guys? In the live chat, are you doing this? Who is drawing this with me? Please let me know in the chat. I want you to divide that in 8. The easiest way, obviously, is do it in the middle. I'll do it with you. Do it in the middle. And do one here. Do one here. They'll divide it in 4. Then split those in 8. So I'm doing this like this. So there we go. There we go. Then split those in 4, and you'll have 8 sections. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. I just want them nice and even for you. There you go. So we're all going to have 8 sections. That's your menu on your blog. The first section, write it with me, please. You don't have to think about the ones I'm about to tell you. You don't have to think these. Your home will be called home. H-O-M-E, home. The second one will be blog. The third one, leave it blank. The fourth one will be shows. The fifth one will be webinars. The sixth one will be interviews. The 7th one will be testimonials. And the last one will be about. Now you can change the wording, but this is what we want in there. Okay, guys? Leave it up for a second. Now you're going to have to fill in the blanks. You're going to have to fill in the brand to what your brand will be, your name, your slogan, and your passions. This will be a menu. You're also going to have to think up a show. So what we need to do now is these go to your webinars. These go to your interviews where you are featured. These go to your references, your testimonials, your story, and your homepage and your blog, which will automatically be generated by the software that we use. As you add blog posts, it adds it in. You're going to see what I mean as we build it, as we fill your brand resume with content. It places it nicely. It orders it accordingly based on date. The newest one's at the top. So here's what I need you to think about. Your passions. You're going to need to probably go back in an older module. If you're with me live, well, the replays are in the modules now. That's how we do the replays. So if you want, we talk about the resume components in module number 5. Go back in there if you need the details on that. What we need to do now is decide what yours will be. So when it comes to your passions, those will be the categories of content that you will provide. In the Wealthy Trainer, I use hacks, life hacks. I love hacks because a hack is solving a problem. I love using life hacks in the Wealthy Trainer. So that's what I put instead of passions. It also speaks to the person. It speaks to the reader, the user, the consumer, the one consuming. So instead of saying, these are my passions, are you interested? We want to stealthily put those in. We want you to share pieces of you without saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's why we have story stitching, where we say, oh, by the way, I like to take long walks on the beach. Just thought I'd throw it out there. And I also like cats. We don't want to say, look at me, I like cats. We want to get them in with something that we can do for them, and then integrate ourselves in there. Know what I mean? You with me on that? We don't want to be upfront, look at me. So instead of saying, these are my passions, check them out, I say, these are some hacks that I found in my life that can probably help you out. And I found that by using life hacks, it works great. Life hacks they're accepted. People are like, oh, I want some life hacks, help me out here. What can you tell me that will help me out in my life? So we need to think up some categories there. What I will do is, I'm going to come up with 1, 2, 3, and we need a random one. So I'm going to go and I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. We're creating categories in your brand resume, okay? Different interests, different passions. They're going to hit different chords with different people, but they must be things that you're passionate about, okay? So in this, well, let's just draw out the menus. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to call it, well, these are your passions. So just put passions up here. Like this, like this. I'll put parentheses, which means these need to be filled out. So what I've done is, I've added parentheses up here for your slogan, parentheses up here. So we need to fill these out. Parentheses for your name, we need to fill this out. Parentheses for your passions, we need to fill this out. Now here I want 4 categories, okay? So I'm going to go like this. Just go below and create 1, 2, 3, 4, just like this. And the bottom one, I will call it random. You should always have a random section like this. Okay? Passions, and you have 4 categories under your passions. Next is shows. We want you to have at least 2 shows. Yeah, episodic. They're going to be episodic, like episode number 34 of the blank show. Okay? I could go on and on and on and on about motivating you and inspiring you and telling you, but you're ready, just go for it, because a lot of people are going to say the same thing. But I'm not ready to make a show. I don't have the right lighting. I don't have the right show. Me have a show. Some of the most successful online shows are done with an iPhone. Just so you know. They're shows. Episode number blank. As a matter of fact, most of them. Some of them are high production, but you got to get started somewhere. My shows, guess how they're filmed? Just like this, except for the one I'm doing for this one. It'll be a different setup for this one. Okay? So who's ready in the live chat here? Who's ready to create their own show? I recommend 2. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go like this. We're going to do this, and we're going to go like that, like that, like that. A lot of artwork today. So we're going to, this is you. This is you. You're creating your brand here. It's super awesome. It's super awesome. It's a big deal. It's your baby. So in passions, you're going to have 1, as many as you like. I'm going to draw mine out here, and maybe it'll trigger some ideas. Passions, and then a random section. So in my Wealthy Trainer, I have, for my brand, it's The Wealthy Trainer. My slogan is changing lives by creating wealth and improving health. My name is Mark Lalonde. My passions, I call them life hacks. Then I have wealth hacks. Then I have health hacks. Then I have random hacks. I only have 2 plus the random. But in this case, I'm going to put 3. For my shows, I have the Ask Lalonde show. I have the I don't know what else. What other show do I have on my blog? It's Sauna Talk, where I do talks in the sauna. and the Transformation Challenge, where I documented my weight loss. Those are my 3 shows. One of the shows is it's over. It was only for like 8 weeks, but I still keep the show up there. It's like it was only 8 seasons. There was only 8 episodes, 1 season of 8 episodes, where I went from 276 pounds. I made a show every week, a long show, where I'm working out in the gym, where I'm talking about it, where I step on a scale. I created a show out of that. It's called the Transformation Challenge. It's a show. If you go to Sauna Talk, I get naked, I get in the sauna, and I sweat my butt off, and I talk. That will keep going. It's just right now we can't get into the sauna. So once I have my private sauna, it's still there. I think I only have 9 episodes from years ago, but it's a show. Episodic. Episode number 13, where I talk about blank. And then, of course, the Ask Lalone show. Gotta have that. You gotta have that. That's a show that I recommend you have. The Ask Whatever Your Hashtag Is show. Did we talk much about hashtags? I don't think we did. You should have an Ask Something hashtag. Did we get into this? We did not get into this, did we? We did not get into this. It may be a little bit out of the scope of today's training, but I want you to start thinking about your own hashtag. And I want you to punch it in on social media. And I want you to see if someone's already using it. Okay? So for me, it's ASKLALONDE, Ask Lalonde. If there was a famous Lalonde out there, I would have probably said Ask Mark with a C. Or I would have came up with something, Ask the Wealthy Trainer. I have the .com. I doubt that there's a hashtag called The Wealthy Trainer. I would have said Ask the Wealthy Trainer. But I used Ask Lalonde. I should have probably used Ask the Wealthy Trainer. Get your juices going. Then you want to have a Ask, the Ask show. Make a show out of that hashtag. I thought I got that off Gary Vee. I think I originally did, but then as I move along in my career, I notice everybody's doing it. The Ask Blank Show, the Ask Blank Show, the Ask Blank Show. Movie stars too. Okay? So, let's fill in that show. The hashtag Ask, for me it's the Ask Lalonde show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use an orange Sharpie to fill in the blanks. So are we clear on all this stuff? Let's decide these right now. You're going to have to think about them, okay? I don't think they're popping in your head now. If you guys, I know many of the people here have a brand. If you have a brand on the live, please put it in. This is something you're going to want to think about probably. You'll always be thinking about it. After watching this module, your wheels will start turning. So, I'm going to fill in an orange Sharpie for the Ask Lalonde show. Will I call it the Ask Lalonde show? No, I'm going to call it Ask Mr. Marcus. And the hashtag will be Mr. Marcus. I'm going to think about that one. Because we're not building out the menu or creating content until next module, which will give me a night to sleep on it. Yeah, because the Ask Lalonde show I use on my Wealthy Trainer blog. So I'm going to think about that one. A new hashtag for this. You know what? Maybe I will, I'm going to think about it. I have to think about it. So, who's ready to hear what my brand is that I will be using for this training? Maybe it will trigger some ideas. This is the first anyone hears of it. If you're here live. I just told you guys I'm going to talk about how I fixed myself and continue to fix myself. So, the brand is called Fixing Self. That's the brand. That's my brand I'm using for this course. That's the brand I'm using for this course. FixingSelf.com. The .com's not pointing to it yet, but I did check the .com. I wanted Fix You, but Coldplay's got a hold on that one. I'm just saying, like, I had to look for a .com. So Fixing Self, and then my slogan is Fix Yourself from the Inside Out. So there you go. If you saw that, it's pretty obvious what I'll be talking about. How many broken people in this world? I don't think I was the only one. And I believe I know for a fact I have solutions to help put those broken pieces back together, or some people are pretty darn broken. So there we go. Do those examples make sense? I hope so. My name is Marc Lalonde, M-A-R-C, Marc with a C. So it's kind of like the Wealthy Trainer so far, except we're doing this from scratch tonight. Fix yourself. Don't copy me. Well, you can if you've been broken, but you have to think of something. Do whatever you want. I have the .com. I'm running with this, and I'm not running with it. It's for purposes of the course. So now, since my brand that I'm creating is Fixing Self, Fixing Self, Fixing Self, Fixing Self. I'm not quite sure if I like the ring of that, but we're running with it because we're doing the course. Fixing Self, Fix Yourself from the Inside Out. Marc Lalonde. So now I need some categories that will fall into that niche. Okay? Pretty much. So we'll go with, for me, I chose to go with meditation, meditation. These are my choices, but it will give you, well, it's a great example. And it's not only an example, that's how I fixed myself. That's a integral part of how I fixed myself. For sure. I won't get into it here because we're going to do some content on it. The second thing is going to be self-love, y'all. I had to learn to love myself. These are really, I'm vulnerable because these are very accurate. These are two of the categories of content I will be putting out there that I had to master. Sitting in a room in Alcoholics Anonymous didn't work, or rehab for drugs didn't work either. Meditation and self-love, how to properly master those. I got content for days, and when I say days, I mean years. I've been mastering these things for a very long time to fix myself. And the third one is my show is going to be really weird, as you'll see. The reason the hive is going away, I'm getting more comfortable. The reason I'm vulnerable with this topic is because in The Wealthy Trainer, I'm pretty transparent, but the stuff I talk about is very, it's less on the spiritual mindset side. It's less on that. It's more hardcore, do this to make money, make so many calls, use this exact strategy. Here's how you build out a funnel. Here's how you place an ad. Like, it's very business, wealth creating oriented. I don't talk much about affirmations. In this, I will, for sure. I don't talk about self-love. And when it comes to losing weight on the Wealthy Trainer, it's like, eat this many calories, do this much activity to lose this much fat. If you want to put on muscle, we have to go into a certain way of working out. So this is kind of like, to many people who follow me on the Wealthy Trainer, would be like, oh, why is he getting all fluffy duffy? They wouldn't understand how this is the source of everything. This is the source of how I can do what I do. fixing myself from the inside out. So this is why I was reluctant. Okay, I'm vulnerable. Next category for me is higher intelligence. Here's another one. I was going to call this one God, but that would not. I can't do that because that's too much. Too much for people to handle coming from me. I said in the beginning that there's three things I wouldn't talk about, and that's religion, beliefs, and specifically religion, politics, or eating meat. And I veer off them a little bit. Sometimes I give in a little bit, but you notice there's no Trump book there anymore. I took off all my Trump stuff. Shouldn't be any Trump stuff. Did I say Trump? Did I say Trump? See what I mean? It'll slide out sometimes, but I try to stay away from politics. I try to stay away from religion. So I try to not talk about God too much. But did I say God? God? God's my homeboy. I talk to God every day. There's another slip. I try to stay away from that, but I must acknowledge whatever's God. So the way I say it is higher intelligence. It's important. It's everything. It's everything. So there we go. Some of my people on the Wealthy Trainer would be like, I don't know about Mark anymore. He's talking to God all the time. So there you go. Those would be my categories. Now they're out there. The hive should dissipate. But it's still very uncomfortable because I'm a pretty hardcore entrepreneur and I get to I get sales. So it's a little different, this type of... watch it take off. Watch it take off more than the Wealthy Trainer. Watch people just start following me like crazy because I talk about meditation, self-love, and higher intelligence. That'd be funny. That'd be funny. You've seen the birth of it right here. And my show, I want you to think about a show where you'll do episodes on top of your Ask show. I want your show to be whatever. I want to see what you guys come up with. This will be interesting. This will be very interesting. I'm going to call mine. Some of you have heard of this show that I've been working on, but I've got a ton of episodes already done. But I had it on my Wealthy Trainer blog, but I said, no. It's got to come down. It's way too out there. I talk to myself a lot. And I do my journals, like my journaling. I had a great day today. I solved this. I did this. But I was pissed off at this, like a diary, but it's a journal. I do them on video. I go, okay, Mark, how'd you do today? But I'm talking to myself. It's kind of like, and I also talk to my future self a lot. I'm like, oh, brother, I don't know if you'll be 80 years old when you see this, but we had a rough one today. Or we had an amazing day. We made like 25 grand on a webinar, bro. I can't believe it. It's our biggest webinar yet. So I don't know if you'll be sipping pina coladas on your yacht and you'll be 80 years old when you see me, but how are you doing, future Mark? Like, I talk to myself because I know that in the future, it'll be super cool to go back on these videos and say, oh, I wonder how I was when I was back when I was 50 or when I was like, well, I was going to say in my 20s, but I only started these last year. My show is called Selfie Talkie. Selfie Talkie. I had it on my Wealthy Trainer. I had to take it down. I only put out a couple of episodes because it was too weird. People are like, do you have like dual personality disorder or multiple personality disorder? I'm like, duh, yes. Know what I mean? You know what I mean? So there it is, Selfie Talkie. And that's pretty awesome. There's so many nuggets that I get out of talking to myself. There's my show. So, are you ready to see me create this thing? And are you ready to create yours with me? Today, we're going to create the blog. We're going to jump right into the digital aspect of it. And don't worry if you don't have this down. You'll probably sleep on it and have some ideas tomorrow. But this is the example for the course we're using. And it's going to be really fun because it's very real to me. So the first thing I want to do when I share my screen, here's what happened. Who knows who Robert Greene is? Robert Greene. Well, I'm going to tell you as soon as I share my screen. Robert Greene, the author. Let me share my screen. So if you're in the course, go to the next module, which I believe I call them demonstrations now. if you're watching the course, it's all structured and it's all positioned perfectly. Everything should be laid out really nicely. But as I'm doing this live, we're adjusting as we go. So go to the next module and I'll share my screen and we'll start building. But before I build, I'm going to show you something that happened this morning that's super weird, a weird coincidence. For the people that are live, please let me know if the transition is successful. Okay, here we go. Let me know in the chat, please.